Welcome back to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. I am here with Scott Mendell. And before the break, we talked about two very different instances of exiting his companies and the different ways that they felt. So Scott, I'm going to dive right in to what are the things that people watching, if they're thinking that maybe I'm looking at an exit, what are the most important steps that a business owner needs to be taking in order to prepare their business, but also to prepare themselves mentally and emotionally for that exit?
Yeah, and honestly, I think it's funny that you left medicine and nursing, right?
Physical therapy.
Physical therapy. Oh yeah, even better. You left physical therapy to go into real estate, and I'm leaving real estate to go into physical therapy, sort of. So, getting prepared is often difficult. Like if you're forced to exit, there is no preparation. You're there, and it happens, and your whole job after that is disaster control. How are your employees going to take it? And I will never forget the day that I sat down with 35 employees and told them we were done. And the tears that followed were soul crushing. I didn't know that the employees that I had at that moment cared so much about my business. And I think as owners, sometimes we overlook that it's our baby, but the people that work for us look at it as their home. And so if you're choosing to exit, it's a little bit different strategy, but what I would absolutely do is prepare your employees. I remember talking with my assistant when I left real estate, and she was crushed. She begged me not to. I was like, "You're going to be okay. I promise you'll be okay." And as you prepare your employees, you have to prepare yourself mentally too, because you're going to be cutting a tie with something that you love. And it's choosing makes it easier, but that last day that you walk out the door, it hits you. And prepare fiscally, prepare emotionally, prepare even physically, because you will feel some effects. The mental drain really can affect your overall body. You got to make sure you've got a program in place where you're still getting out of the house, moving forward, having another idea to pursue. When I was forced out, I was down for 6 months and really had no direction at all until a friend of mine called that had a phenomenal business idea, but he was a detective in San Antonio and didn't have any kind of business knowledge. And his wife, who happened to be a tremendous friend of mine, said, "You ought to call Scott." And so I met him in San Antonio one day, and we were at Zio's. And we went over the business right there, and it was, it had the potential to be a multi-million-dollar, if not billion-dollar business. And I told that to him. And I still remember him looking at the drawing on the table cover and in shock. And I said, if you've already got all of this in place, all we got to do is find money, and we can roll. And that was the impetus that kind of got me back on my feet, got me moving forward again. So if you're exiting without a choice, you've got to know you've got to recover. But if you're exiting with a choice, you have to make sure that you've got a plan. J.T. Fox, who both of us love to death, in his book, Business is War, says, if you stop moving forward, take your foot off the accelerator, you're going to coast to a stop. So if you exit with a choice, you have to move forward. You've got to keep moving forward. If you stop and you rest, you're likely never going to start again. And if you do, it's going to be very, very difficult. So for me, that's kind of what I did with real estate. I moved right into taking care of my dad. And then that spawned the idea of really revolutionizing senior care in America, because that's what my company is set out to do. And if you've never had a calling, and I doubted it when people said they did for decades, but boy, when you get one, there's no choice. You've got to step into that void in front of you and take the risk to change the world.
You talk about finding purpose, and for those who are forced to exit, that can be a very hard thing to do. So do you have have any words of wisdom, because you chose to exit to take care of your dad, and that birthed this new purpose that you have. For those who are forced to exit and they're looking at it, do you have any words of wisdom so that they can navigate that recovery time period? Because it is a blow. It's a lot to take in, and you've lived it. So as someone who's lived it, what steps can they take to make sure that they're still fueling their body, their mind, their soul, and getting themselves set for that recovery and that rebound success?
First and most importantly, man, do not isolate yourself. Don't stay at home and wallow in the misery. I made that mistake. If you can, stay in touch with your friends. Always talk about the pain, talk about the failure that you're feeling. Find somebody that actually can help you. There's a lot of sources now that there weren't back in 2001.
Truth.
And get that help. Go for long walks. Man, walks are the best thing you can possibly do. It's not terribly physically taxing, but it creates a mental space that with the oxygen that you gain, with the muscle use, your brain just works better. And it's almost like meditation for me, especially. I mean, that's kind of my zone, right? Is I can go out and take a walk and think. Today, we rarely find ourselves with any kind of solitude at all. We're always connected. We're always on. And when you disconnect completely, and I go and I walk the trails at Memorial Park, so there's almost no contact with anybody while I'm out there. It's nature, it's hilly for Houston.
For Houston. I was going to say, what is that, the overpass?
Yeah, that's our biggest hills in Houston is our overpasses. No, it's down there kind of by the bayou, so it gives you a sense of being in nature. The trails are dirt, they're not groomed, so it's kind of fun. And it gets me out of my space, and especially with my terrible ADHD, it kind of lets my brain run wild like it wants to for an hour or so.
I really like the getting out of your physical space. One of the things we talk about when you're in business, especially when you hit scale and you're in that kind of overwhelm, like there's periods of overwhelm. We talk about changing our physiology to change our psychology. I come from sports medicine. Yep. Human performance is my gig. And so what I'm hearing from you is if you're forced to exit, or if you're exiting and you're all of a sudden like, what do I do next? Get out of your space, change your physical space, and move your body, because when we move our body, it helps us to change our psychology and our mindset and to experience a little different. And so I have a follow-up question for you, because one of the things that I get asked a lot, I've helped a lot of people to exit their businesses, and then they ask me, well, what should I do next? Once I've exited, do I look at the same kind of business? How do I approach what's next, whether it's investing passively or actively pursuing another company?
That's actually pretty easy to answer. Is reach down in your soul, find what you truly want to do. If you work at something you want to do, it's not work; it's fun. You're excited to get up every day. That's why I quit real estate and got out of it. I hated getting up every morning, going and doing it. I love my clients. I just really did not like the other agents at all. And so I think the best thing to do is take a second to breathe, and then go for a walk. And while you're on that walk, think. Look at what your opportunities are. Look at where you're headed. Look at what the next phase might be. Where is a space that you can create something special? Be it senior care like I'm in, be it real estate, be it a restaurant, or a gym, or something, an art studio, something you're passionate about. Then start investigating. Can this work? If I get into this space, if I put my money in this space, is it possible to survive doing this? And by surviving, I don't mean making $1 million. That's not what feeds most entrepreneurs' souls. By surviving, I mean surviving mentally and physically and emotionally. Does it make you happy? Does it pay the bills? does it feed that part of you that wants to do, that wants to become? And so that's really the best advice I can give, is just find your passion and chase it.
I think that's sage advice. I really appreciate you sharing with us. We are drawing to close to the commercial, but Scott, if people would like to learn more or reach out to you, if they're interested in what you're doing next, how can they find you?
Redbearcare.com. That's our new website. Info@redbearcare.com. There it is. Info@redbearcare.com will get you in touch with me. That is my phone number up in the right corner. If you call that will ring our office and you can get through to me easily. I'm always happy to talk with entrepreneurs. If you've got questions, if you've got ideas, man, if you've got an idea that can help me revolutionize senior care, please call. We are looking to do something spectacular. So reach out.
Thank you so much for your expertise and for your time and for sharing about what it looks like post-exit. I know that a lot of people have been moving through this, and it's nice to know that you can do this. You don't have to do this alone. Reach out to Scott. Thank you, Scott, so much for your time.
Oh, and thank you for having me, Jen. I appreciate it greatly. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So if you are watching at home, reach out to Scott. He is there. He is a resource for other entrepreneurs. Reach out. Don't do this in isolation. Find the right team behind you. Have a plan if you can. And don't forget to take care of yourself. Go for a walk and give yourself that spaciousness to think and to really reflect on what is it that I want for this next phase. We do have to take a brief break, but we'll be right back after these messages.